Today we are heading to the Dachau concentration camp. We want to do it justice as best as we can, but I don't think any pictures or video can ever fully capture the experience. Therefore, it is deserving of its own video. We'll share our experience at the Dachau concentration camp. But before we even continue, we just want to say that a lot of consideration went into even doing this video. Like, is this even an appropriate thing to do? However, we learned that Germany makes all of their Holocaust memorials, museums, exhibits, and sites like this one free and accessible to everyone. They do not charge an admission because they want as many people as possible to learn about the Holocaust so that history does not repeat itself. And that is something that we want to support. That is something that we can get behind. Everyone should know about it. And if by us sharing our experience with you inspires even one person to go or one person to understand more, then we feel like it's worth it.
Hi, we're the Lost Ones, just your average group of friends who travel together as often as we can afford while trying to cross things off our bucket list.
We started this vlog to capture our adventures, good times, and foodie moments to look back on when we grow old. We hope to inspire others, meet cool people, and try new foods along the way.
I think it's day 5. I believe it's day 5. Definitely lost count at this point. The game plan today is we are making a day trip up to Dachau.
Go see the concentration camp on the site.
It's definitely going to be a little heavy on the emotions.
I feel like we're all kind of prepared in our own way, but it's definitely a must to go see.
I felt ready to go inside, but then we see the train tracks that lead right up to the front of the gate. As we were walking through the gates, Vic's like tearing up. I'm not gonna lie, the feeling of dread and anxiety as we were walking in was like super heavy. I'm baffled at how big this place is. It's hard to understand truly the scale of what they were doing here.
We're walking up to these cold, stark processing buildings, and this was the first stop for prisoners when they arrived. Obviously, the experience is different for us because we have free will and free roam to go where we'd like in this area, but the prisoners were herded like cattle by the SS guards to start the process of removing their identities. Their belongings were taken, their identities were taken, their clothes were taken. You were replaced by a number that would define your existence. We're in the shower room right now. You were forced to strip naked and you were forced to shower here. Then after the shower, they would give you your prisoner clothes.
The entire building is a museum now, recounting everything that happened here. You go through all these emotions as you walk through. You're anxious, you're sad, you're angry because of what happened here. Seeing photos and everything doesn't do it justice because it's that thing where you can try to recreate a moment or a feeling, but you can't like be here in those moments. Oh my God.
The calorie content of food rations lay far under the daily requirement because they were also put to work. When asked to describe the average daily ration of food at the camp, a prisoner answered 1/8 of a loaf of bread, sometimes a small piece of sausage or cheese, maybe, and sometimes a half liter of soup that contained potatoes, maybe. And that's all they got. Can you imagine, like, working as hard as they did for many, many hours a day, only to receive that much food?
That's not even enough to sustain anybody.
Here's a first-hand account from a prisoner. There are other things that you can eat. First, there are dandelions. You simply pull out the whole root, shake off the soil, and stick the whole thing in your mouth. Unfortunately, there are only a few of them at our work site. Like, the way he even said that was just like the strength and the optimism of being like, oh, there's other things you can, you know what I mean? Like, that breaks my heart.
He said that there was only a few. Like, he was willing to eat a lot.
They were tortured, harassed, beaten, hung. The level of torture and abuse would depend on the guards and the guards' moods for the day. Like, if there was a speck on your eating utensils, they would punish you. Or if they felt like it, they'll punish your whole unit of like 250 people.
They made up whatever they wanted.
They even had dog kennels here, and they would use the dogs as another method of mutilating the prisoners. Pole hanging was another torture method used a lot. Victims were hung up, left to swing back and forth. and then beaten.
Jesus.
And on top of that, there were human experiments. The doctors of the camp, and I say that with quotations, the doctors of the camp definitely misused prisoners for their own, quote, medical experiments, unquote, in an attempt to find solutions for their biochemical military warfare. Even children were subjected to this. Additional gruesome experiments meant to further Nazi racial goals included a series of sterilization experiments against people who they considered to be racially or genetically undesirable. And then the head of the SS...
That dude's in charge of the quote-unquote master race?
Yes, he was an idiot and he clearly enjoyed killing people.
Bum.
And then because of their own doing, since they were killing so many people, they didn't have enough slave labor. It's so stupid. And so they're like, we need more people working as slaves because we need to fund our war. And what did they do instead of improving conditions? They created slave hunts. They would tell the police a quota, and then the police would go and arrest as many people as possible for no reason other than to throw them in camp. And their favorite thing was targeting movie theaters and churches. Jewish people were not the only victims of the SS and the Nazi regime. They took anyone from anywhere as prisoners. Anyone who wasn't on their side. Italians, Polish, Dutch, Belgian, Greek, Hungarian, Spanish, black people, white people, religious opponents such as certain Christians and Jehovah's Witnesses, gay people, disabled people, even Germans, their very own nationality. I'm gonna cry. The solidarity that the prisoners had with each other was significant to their survival, singing songs together from their homeland, introducing new prisoners to the daily routine of camp life, the procurement of food for those starving, the care of the sick and the wounded belong to the daily practice of solidarity.
The main camp road is where they had hundreds of these barracks. They literally slept all the prisoners. They fit 250 of them into one bunk room. You're literally a slave, forced into labor, denied basic human rights. I just know these trees were sick of the Nazi shit. All the barracks got torn down, but you can obviously see the footprint of where they stood.
This is ashes of the unknown concentration camp prisoners.
It shows bodies being entwined in barbed wire.
We're standing at the fence where the watchtowers are. You're trying to imagine the desperation of those prisoners who knew that freedom was literally right there on the other side of that fence. What would I do if I was starving and tired of getting tortured? Do you try to escape? Do you risk getting shot? Do you risk getting captured and tortured even more than you already are? In the back corner of the property is the crematorium. Do not be fooled by this scenery. This is a place of horror. The bullshit that the Nazis put these innocent people through just to kill them is insane. They had a fake waiting room where they lied to people, saying they were just going to take a shower. Then they even had a whole fake ass shower with fake shower spouts. But it was a gas chamber. They killed thousands of these people here. Elderly people, children, disabled people. They disrespected their bodies, dragging them across the floor, even piling them up.
I'm shocked that this complete disregard for human life is all because they were different. My heart is so heavy, even just witnessing what's left of the horrors. Where thousands of people were murdered is just an unexplainable feeling.
At first, they had a small crematorium Then they built a bigger one, and that's how many victims they had. They had to upgrade.
This kind of hatred has no place in humanity. I will never forget this place, and I will never forget seeing the images and hearing the stories of what the victims went through. And I hope something like this never happens again.
I hope those innocent souls are at peace, or at least I hope they came back and haunted those SS guards.